Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's time to shop my shelves and see what I'm reading for the month of November. And by it's time, I mean it's almost the middle of the month and I'm really late doing this. So let's jump into it. So it's not really beanie weather anymore in New York, but we are pretending like it's still beanie weather. Apparently it is up and down the eastern seaboard, just freaking hot for November.
Yay, global warming.
It's doing its job, even though it apparently doesn't exist. I'm going to pretend like it's beanie weather. Also, I still have some Halloween decorations up because I don't like getting rid of them. They make me happy. And it's not quite time for Christmas. I hate November, the lull that is November. Anyway, every month I shop my shelves and pull together a stack of books that I hope to read in the month. Sometimes I read them all, sometimes I don't. The point is to have a stack that I can go to when I'm looking for something to read next. Oftentimes it can be really daunting to just stare at this wall of books or any of the other walls of books in this house and pick something to read. So I like to pare it down every month, and then I share that pared down list with you. So we're going to do that today. A lot of these are books I didn't get to in October because this is November, and November is National Novel Writing Month, also known as NaNoWriMo, and I am not like officially participating in NaNoWriMo in the sense that I'm trying to get to 50,000 words. I am trying to add, I think my first draft of this fantasy novel needs about 30,000 more words to finish it. So that's what I'm trying to do. I am stuck in the middle of this book and I need to finish it. I need to write something. So that is what I'm doing this month. So I'm trying not to have so many books on my list that it distracts me because I will procrastinate and read instead of writing, and I need to write. And one of the things that is helping free that up is that I've met my arbitrary reading goal for the month. I have already, for the year, I've read over 200 books at this point. We'll talk about it when I get to filming whatever my wrap-up video is for October. But I don't feel like pressure. I never really feel pressure because it's just an arbitrary goal, but like I really don't feel any pressure to read a certain amount or to read in excess at all this month. I really want to focus on the writing. So everything is very casual this month. So I'll quickly go through what I am reading, what I've already read, what I hope to read, etc., etc. Oh, I am missing one thing from here. Hold on. I thought I had gathered all the books for this list, but I forgot one very important one, and that is You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty by Akwaeke Emezi. And this is our TBR lowdown pick for the month. If you don't know, I run a podcast with my friend Naomi, where we just talk about books all the time. That is the point of the podcast. We talk about books. This is our pick for November. She's already read it. I have not read it yet. This is the arc that she had graciously. I'm lucky to have a friend that pulls connections and has arcs sent to me, but Atria sent me an extra arc, and I'm really excited to finally read this. I've been holding off. Once we decided we were going to make it a pick for the book club, I held off reading it, so it's finally time. It is finally its moment to read this book. It's supposed to be beautiful and wonderful, and I don't want to read anything from the back because I don't want to be spoiled. I just want to go into it. So join us with this, and we'll discuss it sometime in the beginning of December. That's how this works. All right, hopefully this lighting's better. I've been messing around with things. I have a couple more book club things to go through. For the Booker Book Club, which Dee Dee Reads hosts, I am reading Glory this month from the long list and the short list, I believe. I believe they were both, it was both long and shortlisted for the Booker this year. And this, I've started like the first 30 pages or so this morning just to get into it a little bit. It is giving me like Animal Farm vibes, which is not a bad thing. This is a bold new novel that follows the fall of the old horse, the long-serving leader of a fictional country, and the drama that follows for a rambunctious nation of animals on the path to true liberation. Inspired by the unexpected ouster by coup in November 2017 of Robert G. Mugabe, Zimbabwe's president of nearly 4 decades, Glory shows a country's imploding. Narrated by a chorus of animal voices that unveil the ruthlessness required to uphold the illusion of absolute power and the imagination and bulletproof optimism that to overthrow it completely by immersing readers in the daily lives of a population in upheaval. Balawayo, oh, it's so said her name wrong, I apologize, reveals the dazzling life force and irresistible wit that lie barely concealed beneath the surface of a seemingly bleak of seemingly bleak circumstances. My throat's kind of bothering me today. I've been having really bad allergies, so it's hard for me to talk, but I'm doing it. Anyway, so this is going to be a good book discussion. I'm really excited about that one. And then the last book club book I have is for my little book club. So if you didn't see the announcement, I launched a Patreon. I feel like it might be a little early to have done something like that, but we're just going with it. I kind of wanted to create a more cohesive community, and I didn't really know where to put that. And I think doing that on Patreon / through Discord is the best way to do it. So one of the tiers, there's like a tip tier, and then there's like another tier. And that the second tier will get you into like our little book club. And every month we pick and read a book, and we'll have some sort of discussion about it. So that is what we're doing. And this is the book that we picked for the month of November, and it's Dog Flowers by Danielle Geller. And I had seen this around, and it looked really interesting. I did not know, I knew it was a memoir, but I did not know that it's like a photo memoir as well. It's about Danielle, and her mother dies from alcohol withdrawal while she's trying to get sober. And it's a story about, it's Geller's story dealing with that grief and the loss, and also finding these suitcases filled with photos and clothing and all kinds of things from her mother's life. There, you can see the book now. So it's about the daughter going through these items from her mother's life. Dog Flowers is an arresting photolingual. That's the thing I didn't know. I didn't know this was going to conclude, and it does. It includes actual photographs from her mother's life, and it's just this sort of multimedia aspect of it that I didn't know was going to be part of this memoir. So I'm really excited to get into this. So it's a photolingual memoir that masterfully weaves together images and text to examine mothers and mothering, sisters and caretaking, and colonized bodies. So it sounds phenomenal. I'm excited to read that. If you want to join, go right ahead. There's a link in the bio, and then in the description and there's a link in my bio too, for Patreon. If you want to join us, you can hop in on the discussion boards. Hopefully this will grow into a really beautiful community where we can talk about books. That's the goal. Things I've already read this month, because we're coming in on the middle of the month. So of course I've read stuff already. I don't know why I'm sitting like on the floor. Like, this is sit up. I hear my mother shout at me. I finally finished Babel, which I talk about there's a weekly reading vlog, which I don't know when it's going up, but I do have a weekly reading vlog going up where I sort of read this throughout the week along with a couple other things and start Nano, and it's a bit chaotic, but the focus of this reading vlog was really to get through Babel, and I really did like Babel. It's not exactly 5 stars, but I really did like it, and I am so curious to see what R.F. Kuang comes out with next. This girl has so much talent. Girl, she's a woman. This woman has so much talent. It is, this is going to be a remarkable career, and I cannot wait to see what she writes next. I finished 2 Virginia Woolfs because they felt fitting for NaNoWriMo, because there's nothing like reading one of your favorite historical classic female writers while you're trying to figure out if you can write a damn book. The Waves follows 4 children from childhood through to adulthood, and it's beautiful and lyrical, and it's so stunning. Loved this. Yeah, this might be I don't know, it's hard. This one's really good too. So I also read A Room of One's Own, which is more like a lengthy essay on how about women in writing and women's rights and women having the ability to do just as much as men. They have not historically been given the ability to do it. And by the ability, I mean they need a room. Her point is that you need a room of one's own and a little bit of income, and it'll give you the freedom to do what a man does. We've been shackled by all kinds of other aspects of being a female and being a woman in society. And that has hampered our ability to progress to the extent that like men have in certain areas, like reaching the same prowess as in literature, or I don't know, just you gotta remember this is written in the 1920s, and like a few years before the women had just gotten the vote. So it's like you're kind of behind in having the freedom of thought and time and space to exercise your mind in a creative manner. It is stunning, and I love it so much. There's a few things that don't really age great, but in general, it's a fantastic essay on how women need to be given the time, space, and ability to blossom into the beautiful minds and successful people that they can become, and they don't, instead of just being wives and mothers and homemakers. And not that there's anything wrong with those things, but like there's so much, if you give us the space and let us run, we can run with the boys, basically. And this is an annotated version, which I do need to kind of go back and read. Anyway, but I'm going to read this. But you may say, we asked you to speak about women and fiction. What has that got to do with a room of one's own? I will try to explain. When you asked me to speak about women and fiction, I sat down on the banks of a river and began to wonder what the words meant. They might mean simply a few remarks about Fanny Burney, a few more about Jane Austen, a tribute to the Brontes, and a sketch of Hawthorne Parsonage under the snow. Some witticisms, if possible, about Miss Mitford, a respectful allusion to George Eliot, a reference to Mrs. Gaskell, and one would have done. But, at second sight, the words seemed not so simple. The title, Women and Fiction, might mean, and you may have meant it to mean, women and what they are like, or it might mean women and the fiction that they write, or it might mean women and the fiction that is written about them, or it might mean that somehow all three are inextricably mixed together and you want me to consider them in that light. But when I began to consider the subject in this last way, which seemed the most interesting, I soon saw that it had one fatal drawback. I should never be able to come to a conclusion. I should never be able to fulfill what is, I understand, the first duty of a lecturer. To hand you, after an hour's discourse, a nugget of pure truth to wrap up between the pages of your notebooks and keep on the mantelpiece forever. All I could do was to offer you an opinion upon one minor point. A woman must have money and a room of her own if she is to write fiction. And that, as you will see, leaves the great problem of the true nature of women and the true nature of fiction unsolved. I have shirked the duty of coming to a conclusion upon these two questions. Women and fiction remain, so far as I am concerned, unsolved problems. But in order to make some amends, I'm going to do what I can to show you how I arrived at this opinion about the room and the money. I'm going to develop in your presence as fully and freely as I can the train of thought which led me to think this. Perhaps if I lay bare the ideas, the prejudices, the lie that lie behind this statement, you will find that they have some bearing upon women and upon fiction. At any rate, when a subject is highly controversial, and the question about sex is that, one cannot hope to tell the truth. One can only show how one came to hold whatever opinion one does hold. One can only give one's audience the chance of drawing their own conclusions as they observe the limitations, the prejudices, the idiosyncrasies of the speaker. Fiction here is likely to contain more truth than fact. Therefore, I propose, making use of all the liberties and licenses of a novelist, to tell you the story of the 2 days that preceded my coming here. Now, bowed down by the weight of the subject which you have laid upon my shoulders, I pondered it and made it work in and out of my daily life. I need not say that what I am about to describe has no existence. Oxbridge is an invention, so is Fernham. I is only a convenient term for somebody who has no real being. Lies will flow from my lips, and there may perhaps be some truth mixed up with them. It is for you to seek out the truth and to decide whether any part of it is worth keeping. If not, you will, of course, throw the whole of it into the wastepaper basket and forget all about it. So that is the first paragraph of A Room of One's Own. And I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. It is Virginia Woolf. I have like such a fangirl crush on, and I wish I could have met her. Oh, she's so amazing. What else do I got on this list? I'm still working my way through The Book of Life by Deborah Harkness. I am here. I'm hoping to finish this month. I am still really loving this series. I'm really loving this book. I had heard people say that they didn't like how the series progressed, and it kind of got like worse as you went through the books, because book one is so good, and then they just never really lived up to book one. But I think that is true, but I don't think it's as true as I thought it was. I was thinking that I would be like just terribly disappointed, and I'm really not. They're just different, and I love book one because I love watching them fall in love. But this is really good because you're getting like into the lab again, and there's all these extra side characters that are funny, and like Miriam gets a lot of page time, and Miriam's really funny. So I'm really enjoying this, and I'm really going to try to focus on finishing that. I did briefly start reading Even Though I Knew the End by C.L. Polk. I believe this is out now, or if it's not, it'll be out like in November in general. I can't remember when it came out. It's like a lesbian film noir mystery, and I need this. I need this in my life. Plus, it's really short, and this could be perfect for Nano. I have a couple things I'm still wrapping up from last month. I still really want to read The House of Spirits by Isabel Allende so that I can read one of her books before I read the next book that I bought from her. I still need to try Peculiar Peril because I'm kind of nervous about this one. But I'm wondering if this will help me write my book, because if I can get through the weirdness that is Jeff Vandermeer, and if I can use that as sort of like a mental escapism, maybe it'll help me like break through some creative barriers that are going on while I'm writing. I don't know. I'm just shooting the shit now at this point. I have a couple nonfiction books. Naomi and I are going to be reading Teaching White Supremacy by Donald Yakovone. This was kindly sent to us by, was it Knopf? Pantheon. So Pantheon kindly sent this to us. We're going to be discussing this on the channel. I'd really like to interview the author, actually, if we can get an interview with them. I love doing author interviews. We really need to do more of them. But this is for, it's Nonfiction November. None of these are nonfiction. Well, I guess A Room of One's Own is sort of nonfiction. Anyway, excited to get to this. Powerful exploration of white supremacy, past and present in America, how our democratic principles developed out of it, and how generations of our nation's most hallowed educators and their textbooks have insidiously fostered racism at all levels of learning, from the years of colonization and the Revolutionary War to the 1800s to today's questioning 21st century. This just sounds super interesting to us. Also, it's beautiful. I would like to get to The Divorce Colony by April White, finally, because this book just sounds so interesting, and I didn't know that this was something that existed until Hachette reached out and asked if I wanted this book, I think earlier in the year. And this is an account of the daring 19th century women who moved to South Dakota to divorce their husbands and start living on their own terms. Like, did you know that there was a whole town in South Dakota where women just went because they could legally just divorce their husbands and actually have freedom and live their lives? I didn't, and I'm excited to know more about this. Like, why don't we talk about this? This is really short and is about the craft, so I'm going to try to quickly get through this when I'm feeling stuck, but this is James Scott Bell's Write Your Novel from the Middle, and since I'm in the middle of the novel and I'm sort of stuck, and Sarah Cannon, Heart Breathings, Sarah Cannon, was talking about this, so I picked this up in the hopes that it would help me. Also, Emily from Emily Reads did a whole video on the middle of your book and the messy middle, and I am so there, and I felt it so hard. So that's kind of why Nano is a little sucky right now. And then finally, I'm not going to finish this month, but I would like to have at least cracked into Our Share of Night by Mariana Enriquez. Naomi is reading it. This is one of my most anticipated books of the year. It's going to be amazing. I talked about it in a recent haul, so you can watch the haul and find out more about what it's about. But essentially, it is her first full-length novel, at least full-length novel ever translated into English. And it is sort of, a fantastical, dark, fictional tale that it talks about the dictatorship in Argentina and a lot of the stuff that went on during that period of time, but from a fictionalized sort of paranormal fantasy point of view. So, really excited for this. I need to make some tea and find some honey and maybe a cough drop because my post-nasal drip is driving me crazy. TMI, Alyssa. That is everything I believe that I have on my list this month. That's not true. I have one more. There's one more book that I have on this list, and that is An Easy Death by Charlene Harris, because I really love the Southern Vampire series, and I did not know that she wrote another series, and I'm just gonna, you can see the cover. There's like a gunslinging lady on it, and I'm like, what? So I just need to know what this is about. And my library had the audiobook, and it's not terribly long, so I just grabbed it. And there's a new this is the Gunny Rose series. We have a new series. I didn't know there was a new series. In a fractured United States, a new world where magic is acknowledged but mistrusted, a young gunslinger named Elizabeth Rose takes a job offer from a pair of Russian wizards. Elizabeth Rose has a wildly fearsome reputation, but these wizards are desperate. Searching the small border towns near Mexico, they're trying to locate a low-level magic practitioner believed to be a direct descendant of Grigory Rasputin. What is this book? As the trio journey through an altered America shattered by several countries after the assassination of Franklin Roosevelt and the Great Depression, they're set on by enemies. It's clear that a powerful force does not want them to succeed in their mission. Elizabeth Rose has never failed a client, but this job may stretch her to her deadly limits. What is this book? I don't know what this book is, and I need to read it. I need to know what this book is. Anyway, so that was everything I had on my list. It's good, it helps if I check my list. That was everything I have on my list for November. It is a slightly shorter list than normal because I do need to focus on writing this stinking novel. If you're participating in NaNoWriMo, let me know. I'd love to encourage you if you're doing vlogs or anything. If there's somewhere I can go to cheer you on, because we all need support during this insane time that is Nano. I will be doing some lives with writing sprints with Emily Reeds, and I will probably do my own writing sprints once I figure out my life. This first week of November has been crazy. I just had so much going on between work and getting back from vacation and jet lag and family things that I'm just coming up for air. It is Sunday and I'm coming up for air. So I will figure out where I can drop in some live streams for NaNoWriMo shortly. I think that's everything I have. So please remember to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in my next video, whatever it may be, because it's my channel and I can do whatever I want. Ciao.
So just sit with me, talking to the night until the morning, building chemistry. I don't think I ever wanna go come closer next to me. Trying to find another way to say this, but I think